Well, one step closer. Turn my fan on. As you can see, we got the halves together. We got everything in there. Everything turns nice and smooth with no crunchy noises, which is a good thing. Cylinders are assembled, ready to go. And I will be putting those on probably tomorrow. That was kind of tricky putting that crank in there with those little pins for the bearings. You had to line each one of them up, and it kind of tricky, and then getting the gasket or the seals in. And but everything looks pretty good. I had to loosen everything and then tap this seal in. It was not completely in properly. I'll show you the stuff that I used to seal it. It is recommended to me by a Polaris dealer for case halves, because there's no gasket that goes in there. You just use a sealer. You can kind of see it's red. It's this stuff here. It's called Gasket Eliminator 518 Sealant by Loctite. That is what I just put it on one flange, and it's a real thin layer. And then I put it on both this side and, no, I didn't do the top side. I did this side down here, but I put it all the way around the seal, that red sealant. So that seal should have a good seal. But yeah, I've got to get a different torque wrench. I started torquing those case bolts, and you know, that's steel into aluminum. You've got to be very careful. It just felt, you know how you get that feel like they're going to strip, and it wasn't clicking. And so I'll show you what I used. I bought a cheap Harbor Freight torque wrench years ago, and it's junk. It's messed me up several times. This is my old one. Yeah, this is an old pointer. When you torque it, that pointer goes over, and it tells you how many foot-pounds you've got. Well, I mean, these bolts, there's two different sizes, here and here. These take like 6 pounds of foot-pounds of torque, and these take between 13 and 16. So it's difficult because it's, you know, it's in a 5-minute or 5-pound segments. 0, and then you got 5, and then you got 10, and you got 15 and 20. I mean, it's like, boy, they aren't that tight. You know, it just didn't feel that tight. So I kind of did it by feel with my ratchet, and I put it on there, and I tightened each one of them, and it felt good. And I checked it with this, and they were a little bit over what this was telling me. But yeah, that other torque wrench just, I would have stripped them out, and that would have really ticked me off, because that would have stripped the cases out, and they would have had to have been drilled and helicoiled, and no, we don't want to do that. So anyway, it's good. It'll be fine. But yeah, I'll bring you back when we get the pistons in. Here's the pistons, and of course you got your roller bearing there. But the pistons are kind of cool. They've got like a finish on them, and yeah, I got one of them out. So I got one of these out. There you go. See, they got like a, I don't know what that is, a Teflon coat or something, I don't know. But anyway, it's they fit real nice, and so I'm excited about getting everything together and getting it back in the sled. I have to clean up the sled and you know, get that all arranged. So it's going to be a little while yet. I just take my time. Yeah, this took me all afternoon just to get this far. So I just don't want to mess up. Alright, that's all we got, guys. I'll bring you back when I get some more. Well, welcome everybody. This is an update. Obviously the engine is not in the sled, but it looks a little bit better. Yes, sir. Took a lot of scrubbing and cleaning and engine degreaser, but we got it all clean. I'm not going to take the air box out. I stuck a little mirror down inside of it. I don't see anything, and if you look back up in there, you can see there's where the intake is at. And I really don't think there's anything in it. Because in order to get it out, according to the book, you have to, it's a pretty stupid design. See where it goes back up underneath? You've got to take this entire console off, and then you got to pull the fuel tank, which sits underneath it, out in order to get at that air box. And it's like, I don't really see any need for it. Like I said, I've got that mirror, one of those little, you know, mirrors you use to when you're working, and I put it up underneath there in the holes and shined the light in there. I didn't see nothing. So my guess is that there was probably, well, obviously the nest was right down here. You saw that earlier. But they probably were dragging crap up into there, because I never realized that's where the intake was at. And but anyway, we found it, cleaned it all up. Looks pretty good. I mean, I would love to have had a pressure washer on it to really do her good, but oh well. It's just a snowmobile, right? It's not a show sled. There's the engine. And we've got her together except for the carbs, as you can tell. But yeah, I took my time. I put a new hose on it here. We're going to see how that works. It looks 100% better, let me tell you. What I like to do when I'm restoring something is to take every nut, every bolt, and I like to put them on a wire wheel and clean all the crud off. As well as these are all bolts. These were 4 studs, here, here, and here. And yeah, this one stud's longer than the rest. I don't know why. But anyway, the bolts had a lot of corrosion on them. So we took and cleaned those up. And on the wire wheel, I cleaned everything, all the surfaces up. Everything has got this blue RTV on it. Pretty much just a thin coat over everything. Also, I have Loctite, Harbor Freight Loctite, and we put that all back together. And as you can see, she's looking pretty good. I checked the clutch. Clutch appears to be fine. I compressed these two together to take the tension off of these rollers and the weights, and shot some Comet lube into each one of those. It's good. Inspected everything else. I put some new rope in my recoil because it was shot, which I was glad that, you know, this whole thing happened too. But anyway, I'm going to work on the carbs next, and I got the Y pipe manifold there, the exhaust manifold. I got it painted, so we're letting it dry up, and we'll stick that on. And this is the front mounting plate. And let's see, I don't know if I'm zoomed in here. There we go. And anyway, this goes on here like so, and then these slots fit into the rubber mounts on the sled. Also, while I was trying to torque, this book is excellent. This is a service manual, and it gives you all the torque specs for everything in it. But my torque wrench was a Harbor Freight piece of junk. I don't know, maybe it was just me. I didn't know the ins and outs about torque wrenches and cold, and you've got to warm them up, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff I didn't realize. Anyway, I did some searching online, and I purchased one of these. It's a Tecton. It's very similar to the Harbor Freight, but it's a lot better quality. You can see the writing here is just a whole lot better. The handle turns a whole lot easier. And this, I looked at about 4 or 5 reviews, top 5, top 10, and in just about every review, this brand was mentioned. And I mean, it doesn't rank nearly like a Snap-on, but Snap-ons are about 650 bucks. This was 40. So, bought it, put my head on with it, and I don't know what else I torqued with it, but anyway, did that. I did the magneto, put that on with it and stuff. And that's a trick too. And I learned this from small engine repair on trying to keep your crankshaft from turning as you're trying to torque your bolts, you know, like this, and maybe your clutch, is to get a piece of cotton rope or any kind of rope, take a plug out, take your cylinder down and shove that into there, quite a bit of it, and then crank your cylinder up till it compresses. What it does is it pushes that rope up against the bottom of your head. It won't let it go up and go back down, and so it kind of acts as a pressure, and believe me, there is a lot of pressure with that explosion, so you're not going to really hurt nothing. And then you can torque. I torqued this magneto flywheel down to what was it, 60 pounds, I think it was. So it was quite a bit, but we got it. And that side was, I think it was 50 pounds. So anyway, it's done. I'm going to do the carbs, and I'll bring you back. Thanks for watching.